بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله سبحانه وتعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا وسندنا ومولانا ومرشدنا وأولانا ومولانا محمد عبده ورسوله صلى الله تبارك وتعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه وعشيرته وأهل بيته وعترته وأصحابه وأنصاره ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما. Respected brothers, elders, youngsters and sisters listening at home, in our previous lesson we spoke about Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam's early days. First of all, when he was under the foster care of Halima Sa'diyah radiyallahu anha. Then we spoke about the splitting of his chest, how many times it happened, how many occasions. Exactly, it happened 4 times. And then we spoke about him being under the supervision or under the guardianship of his grandfather due to his mother passing away at a very young age. And after his grandfather Abdul Muttalib passing away, he came under the guardianship of his uncle Abu Talib. And then we spoke about him grazing sheep, etc., etc., and the reason why he grazed sheep at a very young age and the wisdom behind it to make him a stronger person, more humble person, and to bring more sifat and more qualities inside him. We discussed about all of these things. And today, inshallah, we will talk about his teenage years. And to be precise, his manhood under the guardianship of Abu Talib. In all honesty, to be frank, not much has been recorded about the life of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam before prophethood. A few incidents have been narrated, and whatever has been recorded, inshallah, we will talk about those things today, inshallah. And then in our next few lessons, we will speak about the prophethood of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But today we will talk about namely the few things. First of all, his travels to Syria with his uncle Abu Talib. Secondly, the Harbul Fujjar, which is known as the War of Fujjar or Fijar. Thirdly, the Fudul alliance, which is known as Halful Fudul. Fourthly, his marriage to Hazrat Khadija radiyallahu anha. Inshallah, we will try to discuss about these 4 things. The incident of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam traveling to Syria. Abu Talib would often travel to Syria and elsewhere for business purposes. This was the custom of that time of the people of Makkah and Quraysh. They would travel to different places, especially towards Syria and the outskirts of Syria, Sham, and they would go there for business purposes. When Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had turned 12 years old, at the age of 12, Abu Talib, he decided to go on a journey for business purposes to Sham, to Syria. At that time, he decided that he didn't want to take Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam because Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very, very young and he was a child. He was only approximately 12 years old. When Abu Talib was about to take this journey, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, obviously he wanted to accompany Abu Talib and he didn't want to be left behind alone in Makkah. So Abu Talib seen the grief and the sorrow on the face of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he felt sorry for him and he said, you know what, you can accompany me. So then Abu Talib decided to take Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whilst they were going on the journey, we're not going to go too much into details. En route to Syria, on the way they halted in a place called Busra, and in Busra there was a Christian monk who lived there by the name of Buhaira. And why is it important to mention this? The reason will come now in front of us. And he was known as Buhaira the monk, and the monk at those times, they had a lot of knowledge about the previous books, Tawrat, Zabur and etc. They would have a lot of knowledge about these books. And obviously we all know that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about him coming as a prophet later on, these things have been mentioned in previous books. So the caravan, it halted in Busra, and the monk, he came to the caravan and he headed towards the caravan, and his gaze fell on Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, And when his gaze fell on Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he grasped the hand of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu Musa Ashari radiallahu an, he narrates this story, and he mentions that once Abu Talib, he traveled to Syria with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and a Christian priest, a monk, lived there by the name of Buhaira. And when the caravan stopped in Busra, he started to scrutinize every single one of the people of the caravan until he came to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he came to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he grasped his hand in his own hand. Just a point to mention here is that caravans, they used to travel to Syria constantly, and previously Buhaira, he never even looked towards that caravan. He would always ignore them, he would let them pass by, he would never pay attention to that caravan. But for some reason on this occasion, we all know the reason why, but for some reason on this occasion, he decided, to go to the caravan. And this was no coincidence, this was obviously with the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And obviously he grasped the hand of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in his own hand. And after this, he started to scrutinize. Before that, he scrutinized every single one of them. And then he laid his eyes on Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he made a statement. And he said, "Hada Sayyidul Alameen." This is a person who these people don't even know who he is. He said, "Hada Sayyidul Alameen, Hada Rasulu Rabbil Alameen, Yab'athuhu Allahu Rahmatil Lil Alameen." That this is the leader of the worlds, of the jinns and mankind. Hada Rasulu Rabbil Alameen. This is the prophet of the mankind. And also هذا يبعثه الله رحمة للعالمين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's got his hand in his hand, and he's saying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to make this person rahmatul lil alameen, a mercy for the whole mankind. So obviously the people of Quraysh, they're saying, how do you know this? How can you make such a statement? He said, when you emerge from the mountains, when I seen your caravan emerge from the mountains, every single tree and every single stone, I had seen that they had stooped down in prostration. I had seen that they had, all the trees and all the stones, they had stooped down in prostration. And obviously this was for Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And furthermore, I can see the seal of prophethood between his shoulders. Obviously the seal of prophethood was apparent between his shoulders, and this is narrated and mentioned on many occasions. And he says that furthermore, I can see the seal of prophethood between his shoulders. Khair, after this, obviously because Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was part of this caravan, he prepared a meal for Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the full caravan which was traveling to Syria. And when he prepared the meal, he called for all the people came except for Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And then they asked, where is Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam? He was missing, and they found out that he was herding the animals. And we mentioned in our previous lesson that he used to graze goats, etc. He was herding the animals, and a cloud was sheltering him from the rays of the sun. A cloud, it was sheltering him, only him, from the rays of the sun, so that obviously Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam doesn't have to feel the heat of the sun. And when he did come, he seen that all the space under the shades of the tree, it had been taken. Obviously where the meal had been prepared, all the place where there was shade under the trees, all that had been taken. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam sat on one side. And whilst he sat on one side, they seen that one of the trees, it moved towards him, and he granted him shade from the sun. This was all obviously from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khair, this happened. Moving on, after this, the monk, he advised Abu Talib. He found out that who is his guardian, and he found out that it's Abu Talib. He advised Abu Talib that make sure you don't take him to Rome, and make sure that the Romans don't find out that you've got Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam with you, you've got Muhammad with you. If they do find out, they will put him to death, they will assassinate him, they will kill him, because they know about this, they are aware that a prophet is going to come. And no sooner he said this, that they seen 7 Romans were coming towards them. They noticed that there were 7 Romans were coming towards them. And the Romans, they came to them and they asked them, have you got a person by the name of Muhammad, is he amongst you? Because what is your reason, they were asked. So they said, because the Romans, you have launched an extensive search of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because we have been told that in this month Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be traveling to Syria, etc. And we have launched an extensive search and we're looking for him. Is he amongst you? So Buhaira, he said to them, he is amongst us, but if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for something to happen, as in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to make Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam a prophet, is anyone going to be able to stop that? The 7 Romans, they all agreed and they said no. They replied in the negative and they said, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed this, then nobody will be able to stop anything. And these people, with the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they pledged allegiance to Buhaira and they stayed with him, and their hearts completely transformed. And they settled down with Buhaira. And then after this, obviously, he was told who his guardian was. Abu Talib was his guardian. Straight away, he told Abu Talib that send him back to Mecca. Send Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam back to Mecca because obviously he's in danger, etc., etc. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was sent back to Mecca accompanied by other people. In some narrations, it mentions he was sent by Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Khair, moving on, a lesson we can't take from this is that inanimate objects such as trees, stones, pebbles, all of these things, they would honor Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They would honor Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This was before prophethood, and after prophethood, Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, he mentions in one narration that whenever Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he passed by any trees, any pebbles, any stones, they would always say to him, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. This was the honor of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we all know when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to give khutbah on a certain tree or a piece of wood, and that when he stopped giving sermon there, that tree started weeping. When Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam left this place and he went to the mimbar, that tree, he wept. Why? Because this was one of his miracles Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala performed at that time. Khair, moving on, this was one of the incidents that took place when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in his manhood, approximately 12 years old. Moving on, another incident that took place with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is recorded around the age of 15, and in some narrations it mentions 20, but the more accurate narration is that it happened at the age of 15. What happened? The Harb al-Fujjar, which is known as the Fijar War or the Fujjar War, this took place when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was at the age of 15. To cut it short, the long story, a person from the tribe of Kinana, which is a sub-tribe of Quraysh, Kinana, killed someone from the tribe of Hawazin. And we all know at the time of Jahiliyyah what used to happen. We mentioned this previously. If somebody's animal drank water before somebody else's animal, these two tribes or these two families, they would start fighting with each other. They would go at war. They would tell their families, they would tell their tribes, they would tell their progenies, and they would fight amongst each other just for a little incident, such as an animal drinking water before another animal. And this was the ignorance at that time. Khair, what happened was obviously that person from Kinana, he killed somebody from Hawazin. So the Hawazin, they decided, as a custom of Jahiliyyah, we're going to fight against the Kinana. As they say, you kill one of us, we will bring our full army to kill you people or to fight with you people. So then they started fighting, the Hawazin, they started fighting the Kinana. So the tribe of Kinana, what they done was they rushed to the Haram. And why did they rush to the Haram? We all know that everybody at that time, they respected the Haram. Whoever goes into the Haram, nobody can attack them, nobody can do anything, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمَنْ دَخَلَهُ كَانَ آمِنًا. Obviously this will reveal many years later. Whoever enters the Haram is at peace. So khair, the Kinana, they rushed to the Haram, and the reason why they done this was this reason. And later on, first the Hawazin, they stopped attacking them, and then the anger raged, and then they started attacking them whilst they were in the Haram. They had the upper hand, and then later on the Quraysh intervened, and they overpowered the Hawazin. Khair, all of this happened. The Kinana, they won the battle, and then a peace treaty was established, and the Quraysh agreed to pay the blood money for the death of that person, and a peace treaty was made, and then the battle and the fighting is stopped there. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where does he come in this? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentions later on, this narration is mentioned, that he says that I handed arrows to my uncle Abu Talib at that time. I handed arrows to my uncle Abu Talib at that time, and obviously the reason why he helped the Quraysh was because the Haram sanctity, was being dealt with. They were going against the sanctity of Haram, and this is why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he took a part in this as well, and he mentions that I helped Abu Talib by giving him arrows. And from this we understand that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was 15 years old, whereas if he was about 20 or 22, he would have actually took part in the war. From this we understand that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was approximately 15 years old. Moving on, cutting it short, after this, the next major incident that took place was Halful Fudul, which is known as the Fudul Alliance. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam at this time was around 20 years old. He was in his early 20s. And I know these stories are not too interesting, but they are important incidents that took place before the prophethood of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this will actually takers and leaders to his marriage with Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha, which will come now. So the story of Halful Fudul. This was after the Quraysh returned from the battle of Fijar. A treaty, a peace treaty was made in the house of Abdullah bin Jad'an radiallahu anhu, who later on became a Sahabi. The treaty was that they would side with the oppressed against the oppressor, regardless of which tribe the oppressor belonged to. यानी हर हाल में जो है मजलूम की मदद की जाएगी. That they made a treaty, the people of Quraysh, Makkah, they all gathered together and they made allegiance, or they made a peace treaty. Why? Because at that time, like I mentioned, they used to fight over little things. So they made a peace treaty that, you know what, let's make a peace treaty. Whoever is oppressed upon, whoever's zulm's been done upon them, we will help the oppressed. Yeah, we will take the side of the oppressed and we will deal with the oppressor, no matter who he is, even if he is from our tribe, if he's a Muslim or whatever he is, we will help him. Why did this treaty take place? The main reason why this treaty took place was a person by the name of Zubayd. He came from Yemen for business purposes as a merchant to Makkah at the time of Hajj. And obviously this was a time, even nowadays as well, people they expand in their business or they work more at the time of Hajj. Why? Because they know it's a time where many people will come from different countries, and it's a time to make a bit of money. So he came as a merchant from Yemen all the way to Makkah, and he sold something to As bin Wa'il. As bin Wa'il was one of the leaders of Makkah also. As bin Wa'il is the father of Amr bin al-As radiallahu anh, who we know the name of, who is a Sahabi, Amr bin As radiallahu anh. His father's name is As bin Wa'il. He sold something to him. But he said to him, this was before Hajj, he said to him, I'll give you the money after the Hajj days. Khair, the Hajj days happened. This Zubayd, he came to As bin Wa'il and he said, give me my money for the item that I gave you. He said, come back tomorrow. I'll give you the money tomorrow. So he came back the next day and he said, come back tomorrow. And like this, he kept on delaying the matter. In other words, he didn't want to give the money for the item he bought of him. Khair, anyway. So what did he do? Zubayd, he went to all the chieftains of Quraysh. He went to them and he told them, this is happening, and one of your leaders of Quraysh, he's took one of my items and he's not giving the money, etc., etc. So one day what he done, they didn't do anything about this. The leaders of Quraysh, they were scared of As bin Wa'il. They didn't go to him to take the money off him. They didn't do anything about this. So he got angry, obviously. Zubayd, he got angry. So one day after Asr Salah in Makkah, in the Haram, in front of the Kaaba, where there were many people there, he started talking about the people of Quraysh, and he started saying, you people are losers, you're cheaters, you're not just, you're not fair people, etc., etc. You're only doing this because I'm from a faraway land, and you're not just people. And he started saying all these things about them. And obviously nobody could say anything because he was in the truth, he was in the right. Khair, the uncle of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Zubair, who is the son of Abdul Muttalib, Zubair bin Abdul Muttalib, said, we must do something about this. Thereafter this treaty took place. I mentioned that this peace treaty or this treaty, Halful Fudul, took place. It took place after this incident. So what was the incident? Zubair bin Abdul Muttalib, he gathered everyone and he said, what, we need to do something about this. This is not fair that somebody comes from a faraway land and we're not treating him with justice. So they said, what, we need to do something about this. So he, convened a gathering in the house of Abdullah bin Jad'an, and then they made this treaty that they would side with the oppressed against the oppressor, regardless of which tribe he is from, regardless of who belonged to. And then they took the money of As bin Wa'il and they handed the money to that man. Thereafter he went away. And the reason why this is called Halful Fudul, one reason mentioned is that after this treaty took place, As bin Wa'il, he started saying to them, why did you people start, taking a part of this? This was none of your business. Fudul means, something which is none of your business. Amrun fuduliyun. Yeah, so this is something which is none of your business. Why did you get into it, etc., etc. So this was one of the reasons why it's called Halful Fudul. Another reason mentioned, the word Fadl means nobility, superiority and virtue, because something noble took place in that treaty, something good took place in that house. That's why this is called Halful Fudul. And the lessons we can take from this is that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam later he mentioned that I felt honored taking part in that treaty, in that peace treaty. I felt honored taking part in that. Why? Because it establishes justice. And remember the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam always taught justice to the people. Because this peace treaty became a means of justice, I felt honored taking part in that justice. This is also a lesson for us as well. Wherever justice is taking place, we should also try and take a hand in this as well. And another thing was, wrongdoing is non-acceptable. Another lesson we can take from this, the wrongdoing, that person was oppressed. Wrongdoing should be non-acceptable. No matter who the person is, others should always help that person, whether he's a Muslim, whether he's a non-Muslim. Agar aaj, even today, if a non-Muslim he's being oppressed, he's being wronged upon, we should help that person. And no matter if the Muslim is our friend, if he's in the wrong, he's in the wrong. We should help that person who is being oppressed, whether he's a poor person, whether he's a non-Muslim, whatever the situation is. Just like that person, he was from a different place, different country, but they helped him. Why? Because he was in the right. And another lesson we can take from this, a masla, is that it is permissible to form an alliance with non-Muslims. If justice is being served, we can form an alliance with non-Muslims. And the fourth thing, a Muslim, he should always try to have a positive impact in society. Like Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was known for his positive contributions in his society, and this is why he was called Al-Amin. This is why he was called the trustworthy. Why? Because he always had a positive impact in people's life. He was always truthful, he was always honest, he was trustworthy, and this is why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was called Al-Amin, and people's hearts were attracted to him at such a young age. And this will bring me to the story of him getting married to Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha. The reason why she married Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because of him being Al-Amin, because of him being very, very trustworthy. And some Sahabis, they later narrate that, we were partners with Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam before prophethood, in trade, in business. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he would never quarrel with anyone, he would never dispute with anyone, he would never argue with anyone. This is a lesson for us as well today. If we have businesses, we have shops, we do business, we talk to people, we be honest with people. We never quarrel with people, we never argue with people, we never dispute with people, we always be honest, we always be truthful. And this will, become a means of great barakah in our lives, and also in our businesses as well, if you are trustworthy and if you are honest. And obviously, like I said, this brings me on to the topic of marriage with Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha. Briefly, we've not got much time. Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha, she was a wealthi woman. She was also from Quraysh. She was a wealthy woman. She was known as Tahira, as in the chaste, the pure. In Jahiliyyah times and at the times of Islam, she was known as Tahira. When the Quraysh, they used to dispatch the caravans to Syria, she would also trade her goods. She would send her goods with the people to Syria. They would trade in them, and then whatever extra money they would make, she would bring it back to her and they would give it to her. And she would send the money as a form of business partnership. She found out about Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that he is Al-Amin, he is going to go on this journey to Syria as well. So she requested him to trade with her money this time. She requested him that, you're going to Syria, you trade with my money. So khair, she accepted it. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he accepted this, and the reason why he accepted this was obviously he was under the guardianship of Abu Talib, who wasn't a very rich man. So he thought, I can help Abu Talib as well. He accepted this happily, and he knew about Khadija radiallahu anha as well, that she was Tahira, she was a special person, she was an honest person as well. So obviously he accepted this, and she set out with Hazrat Khadija's slave Maysara for this journey to Syria. And on this journey, many miraculous incidents took place, which Maysara, she seen herself, she seen that, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in the severe heat of the afternoon, she says that I would notice two angels, they would offer shade to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And she seen many other miraculous, things happening with Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Cutting it short, when he was returning from Syria, Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha noticed this extraordinary scene. And she seen that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was being given shade by two angels when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was returning. Khair, Maysara gave her a detailed account of all the strange incidents that took place, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help was with Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And she seen that lots of barakah had come in her wealth as well. So she decided that, I'm going to send a proposal to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So 2 months and 25 days after this incident, after he returned from Syria, she sent a proposal to him. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, on the advice of his uncle Abu Talib, he accepted the proposal of Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha, and he took her into his nikah. And at that time, as we all know, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was aged 25 and he was aged 40. And obviously there is a few things to mention here. I will leave that for another time because there are a few very important things that we need to understand here. Khair, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was 25 and she was 40 at this time. The mahr was approximately 20 camels. And this was his first nikah. This was Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's first nikah. This was Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha's third nikah. She had married two people before. They had both passed away. Khair, this was her third nikah. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha, she gave birth to two sons by the name of Qasim and Abdullah. She had three sons altogether. Two from Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha, one was obviously later. Qasim and Abdullah, they passed away at a very, very young age, and there's many wisdoms behind that. We will discuss this next week in the next lesson as well. And he had four daughters. All of his daughters, the four daughters, were all born through Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha. So mentioning, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had 7 children altogether. Out of that, 6 of them were born through Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha. In his marriage with Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha, the 4 daughters, Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum and Fatima, these were the 4 daughters of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha. These 4 later on, they accepted Islam and they obviously migrated to Medina as well. Inshallah, next we will discuss the hikmat and wisdom and the reasons why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he married Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha, and why he didn't marry anyone else when he was in the nikah. When Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha was in his nikah, he didn't marry any of his other wives. He only married the other wives after Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha passed away. What was the reason of this, and why did he marry Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha at such a young age? People they have accusations today about Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that he was like this and he was like that, he got married for this reason and that reason. Inshallah we will clarify all of these reasons why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he got married to Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha at such a young age, etc., etc. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to take lessons from the life of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, make him a means of our role model and take lessons from his life. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Subhanallah bihamdihi subhanakallah.